Hello everyone, welcome back to Art and Alchemy. Thank you so much for joining me in today's Paint With Me session. If you want to see how I painted this portrait, please keep watching. Also, don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe to my channel for more art related content. Alright, it's time to get the brushes moving. I'm going to paint this beautiful portrait using watercolors today. The watercolors I'm using here are from this brand called Camlin. The pigments are really rich and the colors are very vibrant. I own a set of 24 colors of 5 ml tubes which I laid out in an airtight palette. I have linked all the supplies in the description box, so if you're interested, don't forget to check that out. Before we get started with the painting though, I want to quickly talk about how I prepare my sketches for watercolor paintings. I first sketch out the portrait in my sketchbook. Once I'm satisfied with the proportions, I then trace it onto a butter sheet or a tracing paper. Then I finally transfer it onto my watercolor paper. This extra step ensures that the texture of the watercolor paper is preserved, and this technique is especially helpful with subjects that you're less confident at sketching. My watercolor palette is quite huge, so I won't be able to show you how I mix the colors while painting because I just couldn't fit the palette in the frame. But I did try some swatches of skin tones that I'll be using for this painting, which include a lot of pinks, purples and reds. These are some of the brushes I'm going to use. They are mop brushes, round brushes and 2 fine brushes for details. All of these are linked in the description box, so you can check them out later. Here I'm using a Kneadable Eraser and I'm going over the entire sketch to lighten the pencil lines. We're all set to paint now. Watercolors are a very delicate medium, so I start with very light layers and gradually work my way up to the shadows and details. One important thing to remember is to preserve the highlights and make sure you do not add any color in those areas. The model in the reference image was wearing a bright pink t-shirt, so those colors are reflected quite distinctly on her face. Therefore, the shadow areas have deep undertones of purple and pink, and that's what we're trying to recreate over here. I was initially a little skeptical about how the purple undertone will turn out because I've never tried using purple for skin tones before this. The portraits I've attempted so far had warm skin tones. I haven't yet figured out my go-to skin tone shades, and that's mainly because I think every portrait reference image has different shades of skin tones that completely depend on the ambient lighting. I'm layering some warm skin tones on top of the cool undertones that we laid earlier. One important thing while painting with watercolors is to wait for the layers to dry completely before glazing the next layers on top. For artists who are impatient like me, go ahead and use a hairdryer. Yeah, why not? I'm slowly and very slowly refining her features to basically make her look more human at this stage. In the process of portrait painting, the face and features are the most crucial and they take a lot of time for obvious reasons. So once I was nearly done with it, I moved on to finishing the rest of the painting. I know her hair is looking very weird at the moment, but trust me, it will get better by the end. When it comes to painting dark hair, I try not to start with black as it looks very flat. What I do instead is start with some blues, purples and browns and then add the darker shades so that the colors underneath can peek right through. The watercolor paper I chose is 100% cotton and it gives beautiful results after it's fully dry. But during the process, it gets a little challenging to identify the exact tonal values. I tried this paper for the first time for portraits, so I was nervous about the result. I had to keep telling myself to trust the process instead of stressing about the end result. Also, it's a little difficult to lift the paints off of this paper completely as the paint kind of seeps into it instead of settling or drying on top of it. What makes me want to paint more on this paper though is the way the painting looks at the end. The result is always very beautiful. I really apologize for the movement in some shots. The table kind of kept moving while I was making the brushes go back and forth on the paper, and since the camera was zoomed quite in to give you guys a closer look at the painting, the slightest of movement looked way too much on camera. I'm finally adding some details and trying to make her features look lively. This is also the step where the piece comes to life. That brings us to the end of the video, my friends. I love the way the overall painting turned out. If you have enjoyed watching the video, do not forget to like and subscribe for more of such content. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Your support always means so much to me. I'll see you in my next video. Bye everyone.